into the African continent. Oh, sorry, recording's in progress. I hope you're all aware of that. I see a big screen that comes through. I just want to reflect or say a few words about South Africa's science and technology system. So most recently, in 2019, we released and cabinets approved something called the White Paper on Science and Technology and Innovation. And this investment in our STI is important for economic growth. So it's economic growth, creation of jobs, improving skills, looking at how research, science, and technology can do that for us and working with global partners in this perspective. So we have something called Government's 2030 Vision, which is released by the Presidency of South Africa. And in this 2030 Vision, what's important is that the role of science and technology and innovation is seen as critical for the growth of South Africa. And we are busy finalizing something called the STI Decadal Plan, which is a decadal plan to implement our science and technology and implementation. And it looks at the whole of society approach. We are burdened with unemployment, with poverty, inequality, and we need to look at the role, the transformational role that science, technology, and innovation plays in addressing this for us. And I think that's quite important. We want to see the impact of science, technology, and innovation. And I'm hoping the start of the conversations today in ESASTAP around the opportunities for you to collaborate with each other will also further down the line make an impact in the lives of people. And that's, I think, the important part of research and the impact in improving the quality of life. I know that we've said we will work together. We will, for those of you in Pretoria, I was just thinking it's a very warm welcome, because for those of you who are based here, it's a very unusually hot upper 30 degrees sunshine, but of course it's still a beautiful part of the world. And we're hoping that as we go forward, we'll be able to convene more of these ESASTAP information sharing sessions. Perhaps we will have a hybrid model. We'll be able to see you. I know at the margins of the World Science Forum that we are hosting later in December, there will be some side events that will also focus on some of the issues. So I just want to say welcome. I hope you use this platform to engage, see what opportunities there are, and work together. So thanks, Tugela. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vinny, for those warm words of welcome. Without wasting any time, I just want to go through a few house rules. You are please requested to mute your microphones during the presentations and the discussions. You are welcome to post any questions or queries on the chat platform, as well as during the Q&A sessions. I think we would open up for some few questions from the participants. I would like then to call Dr. Vincenzo Lorusso, who is the Policy Officer at the European Commission. He will be delivering a presentation on the Framework Program for Research and Innovation Horizon Europe. Over to you, Vincenzo.
Thank you very much, Tugela, and good morning, everyone. And could you please confirm you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay,
brilliant. And could you hopefully also confirm that you can see my screen, my slides?
Yes, we can see the slides.
Okay, brilliant. Then I get started without any further ado. So a very good morning, everyone, colleagues and friends and researchers from South Africa and elsewhere, including Europe. It is my great pleasure to be representing the European Commission, DG Research and Innovation, and particularly our Directorate for International Cooperation and the Global Approach in Research and Innovation, to present Horizon Europe, and as part of it, as part of the framework program Horizon Europe, the so-called Africa Initiative, which, in line with what Vinny, to whom I send my best regards, I just said, is indeed an important tool that allows to boost the cooperation in science, technology, and innovation between the European Union and the African Union, and of course, at the same time, the EU and South Africa particularly. Right, so a bit of an overview of my presentation before going into the details. We will start by the policy context, indeed, in line with what has just been said by Vinny. Then from there, we will move into the details of Horizon Europe. What is the framework program? What does it entail? And from there, the overview of the Africa Initiative. Right, so Africa is indeed and the African Union is indeed a strategic partner for the European Union, also in the area of cooperation for science, technology, and innovation. In light of the now acknowledged importance, as Vinny was also mentioning through the final declaration of the 6th EU-AU summit that took place earlier this year in February, science, technology, and innovation are indeed now recognized as fundamental tools to indeed foster sustainable socioeconomic development globally, and not just in Africa and Europe. Now, at EU level, from a policy standpoint, there are two publications that have been released over the past 2 years that are indeed very much of great importance with regards to cooperation with Africa. The first one is the one you see in here, the Comprehensive EU Strategy with Africa, that was published in 2020, and the second one published in 2021 in May last year, the Global Approach to Research and Innovation. So in a nutshell, what do they say? The first one really proposes to scale up the academic and scientific cooperation with Africa with a view to creating prosperous knowledge societies. And the second one foresees, amongst other aspects, special openness vis-à-vis African countries that wish to thrive as knowledge-based economies and indeed accelerate their sustainable and inclusive development. So in a nutshell, Africa is indeed a strategic partner and a natural partner for geographical and historical reasons to the European Union. And of course, this also in science, technology, and innovation cooperation. Now, this cooperation between the African Union and the European Union, as Vinny was also hinting to, take place under the umbrella of the so-called high-level policy dialogue, HLPD, on science, technology and innovation, STI, which was established in the year 2010, which represents the policy forum with regular exchanges on R&I cooperation and related policy take place, and indeed the long-term priorities are established accordingly. Now, within this framework, it is where the so-called African Union, European Union innovation agenda has been conceived. And this really stems from the first ever research and innovation ministerial meeting that took place in July 2020 in a virtual format at the time, gathering for the first time ever African Union and European Union ministers of science, technology and innovation, which acknowledged the fact that up until that time, innovation ecosystems had been growing at an unprecedented pace in both Africa and Europe, but also that more needs to be done to accelerate the translation of research and innovation into tangible positive impact on the ground, namely products, services, businesses, and jobs in both Africa and Europe. So from this realization, from this acknowledgement, it is where the so-called EU innovation agenda was conceived. From a policy point of view, it will represent the mainstay of the cooperation between the African Union and European Union in research and innovation for the next 10 years ahead. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, of course, this will inevitably influence all instruments, including the framework program Horizon Europe, and indeed the topics and the calls for proposals that will be coming from there in relation to the cooperation between Africa and Europe. And importantly, this cooperation in research and innovation between the African Union and the European Union focuses particularly on 4 priority areas, which were defined jointly also in July 2020. You can see them in here, namely public health, green transition, which includes the 2 sub-areas of food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture, and climate change and sustainable energy, in which South Africa is indeed particularly active. The third one, innovation and technology, and the fourth one of capacities for science. Now, let's get into the details of Horizon Europe indeed. So Horizon Europe is the largest funding program at a global scale when it comes to support to research and innovation, as we speak currently. As you can see, it entails almost 100 billion euros for the 7-year time span between 2021 and 2027. So as you can see, there's different branches within the Horizon Europe that you see listed in here with different budget allocation. But perhaps more importantly, moving to the next slide, as you can see, Horizon Europe, the framework program, consists of several pillars. Pillar 1, Pillar 2, and Pillar 3. Now, we will talk more about Pillar 1 in the following presentation by my colleague Julie Lepretre from DHET, particularly on the initiative of Marie Sklodowska-Curie, which is indeed embedded in the framework program. Importantly, you can see that the clusters for which the majority of topics organized in calls for proposals are indeed established is the one of Pillar 2, where you can see there's different clusters that are organized according to thematic areas: health, culture, creativity and inclusive society, digital industry and space, climate, energy and mobility, food, bioeconomy and natural resources, agriculture and environment, to mention a few of them. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is because indeed they are of great importance also for the EU-Africa cooperation and the calls for proposals that are particularly flagged, encouraging or requiring participation of African entities within the consortia, within the research consortia that are then submitting research proposals. Now, it is important to highlight the fact that although Horizon Europe is indeed an EU funding instrument to support and foster research innovation, it is indeed an instrument that also fosters the international cooperation within that. And indeed, as such, entities from all over the world can indeed take part in Horizon Europe collaborative projects. So all the calls for proposals are indeed open to entities coming from elsewhere in the world with different national backgrounds and can therefore apply for that. Now, of course, with that being said, there are, however, certain calls for proposals that are particularly flagged, encouraging or requiring, as I was saying, participation of stakeholders, of research entities coming from specific geographic areas, like in the case of the so-called Africa initiative, these include a package of calls for proposal that are indeed flagged by encouraging or requiring participation of Africa-based research entities. And of course, this is done in a way that reflects the thematic priorities that are defined jointly between the EU and, of course, the counterpart region and, of course, union in the case of the African Union, based indeed on the topics that are the most relevant for the current times and the future ones as well. And with that, I'll move to, I outline the so-called Africa Initiative, which started indeed in the first work program of Horizon Europe, 2021 and 2022. It represents the immediate outcome of the first R&I ministerial meeting of July 2020, and really aims to further enhance the cooperation, research and innovation between Africa and Europe, also as a reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic. What does it consist of? It literally consists of a package of 35 topics organized in calls for proposals, entailing a budget of approximately 350 million euros. And topics are overall can be grouped into the 4 priority areas of the EU cooperation in R&I that you see in here: public health, green transition, innovation and technology, and capacities for science. And now you receive a copy of this presentation, I believe. By clicking on the PDF page in here, you'll be able to be directed to the funding and turning portal, including the list of calls for proposals that are specific to the so-called Africa Initiative. Now, bearing in mind that being those calls now a part of the first work program for 2021-2022, the deadlines for applications for the proposals, I believe, is over for all of them. But please be reassured that we're working intensively these days to secure a continuation of the Africa Initiative, also in the framework program 2023-2024, which is expected to be published by December this year. And the next few slides, for which I will go rather quickly, just to provide you an overview of what are the calls about, what are the titles, and what are indeed the topics more into details. In the area of public health, you see innovative approaches to enhance poverty-related diseases, research in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, this call, which was part of indeed the Horizon Europe framework program, first work program of 2021-2022, is also now further being continued, so to say, by the work program 2022 of the Global Health EDCTP, European and Developing Countries Clinical Trials Partnership 3 joint undertaking, in which South Africa is indeed very much involved, also with a South Africa-based office. Now, this work program had a deadline for calls for proposals fixed for the 30th of August. So I believe the evaluation is currently ongoing and awarding will be announced soon. So really, there is indeed a lot in the area of poverty-related neglected diseases that is supported through Horizon Europe and indeed also through the EDCDP. Green transitions, in a nutshell, topics are around food security, sustainable agriculture, biodiversity, mobility, climate change, and sustainable energy. So I think the slide I just went through can summarize the next few slides where you see the exact titles of the calls that were part of the first work program of this year and last year. So you can see food security is indeed at the core of the calls that are encouraging the cooperation and research and innovation between the EU and the African Union. And this is, of course, of even more topical importance nowadays. And the third area is the one of innovation and technology. And I take this opportunity also to mention the fact that for the InnoWide call, there's indeed a call for proposals that is addressed, the targets cooperation between European and African SMEs. If you just Google Eureka InnoWide call Africa, you will see that there's a call that is open. I believe the deadline is fixed for some time in November. So this is indeed the time also to apply for that. And capacities for science, the topics are around the area of capacity building, human development, and humanities as well. So social sciences are also embedded in the framework program Horizon Europe. So this is also important to mention. A lot of the times we're focusing on innovation that is perhaps more linked to technical readiness level of end products or projects, but it's also important to consider that social science are embedded in the framework program. So for the Sklodowska-Curie, you will hear more in a few seconds. It is indeed a flagship program that aims to enhance mobility of researchers and, of course, provide training opportunities through that. But Julie is definitely going to say better. It is in a far better fashion then. And these are the final slides to show you what's happening already, what has happened over the past 2 years coming from the first work program of Horizon Europe. So on the top of this slide, you see the top 23 African countries with regards to participations that were coming in the framework program, in the previous framework program of Horizon 2020. As you can see, with an average success rate of 18%. So, for example, 209 research proposals had been retained coming from South Africa, followed by Kenya, Tunisia, Morocco, and so on and so forth. Now, in Horizon Europe, as we speak, and this graph is updated up until this morning, you see that South Africa has already been retained for, participations, proposals coming involving South African entities are already 59, so almost 60. And as you can see, this just refers to nearly less than 2 years, 2021 and 2022. So, I mean, if South Africa keeps this pace, already in 4 years, or possibly and hopefully even less, will already reach the number of retained proposals compared to the 7-year program of Horizon, or time span of Horizon 2020. So in a nutshell, I would like to say that what we are seeing as an outcome of this specific targeted Africa initiative, we are having more research proposals that are entailing the participation within the research consortia of Africa-based entities, including those from South Africa. And that is, of course, I think, extremely encouraging, also in light of what was initially said by Vinny, of the importance of really accelerating and strengthening our cooperation in research and innovation. And the same thing you can see, for instance, even for Nigeria, you see 15 proposals that have been retained coming from Nigeria, and only 23 in the Horizon 2020 framework program. So Nigeria, by next year, will have already overtaken the number of proposals that had been successfully submitted in Horizon 2020. And in terms of topics, and this is, I believe, my very last slide, we've seen that the majority, 36% of the projects that have so far been granted that involve Africa-based entities. And you can see there's 183 participations, meaning that 183 research entities based from Africa have already started being awarded in projects of Horizon Europe 2021-2022. So I think that's extremely great news. 75 projects have been awarded, and the majority of them, 36% of them, in the area of food and bioeconomy, natural resources and agriculture and environment, 22% of them in health, 12% in climate, energy and mobility, and 20 projects, 11% of them, in Marie Sklodowska-Curie action. So perhaps that will be the linkage to the next presentation. And just to let you know that we are indeed working on securing the continuation also from a topic standpoint of the Africa Initiative 1 into the Africa Initiative 2, which should allow the implementation of the short-term action of the so-called AU Innovation Agenda as part of the framework program, working program number 2 of Horizon Europe for 2023 and 2024. So you hear more coming from us in the next few months in this regard. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and you'll find a series of resources on what I've just mentioned through just by clicking on the hyperlinks here. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Vincenzo, for that presentation. I think it was very helpful and useful. We will share the presentation. I think presentations at the end of the sessions, they will be available through the ESASTAP website. I would like to then move to the next speaker. As Vincenzo had mentioned, the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions is one of the flagship program that South African researchers actually take advantage of that, even in the previous framework program. So I'll hand over to Ms. Julie Lepretre, who is the Policy Officer at the Directorate General for Education, Youth, Sports and Culture at the European Commission. Over to you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to all. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see the presentation.
That's great. Thank you very much. And thank you for giving me the floor. I'm very delighted to be with you this morning, and I'm happy to see some familiar names and faces. So I will be, of course, happy also to exchange with the audience after this quick presentation on the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions, which was already actually mentioned by Vincenzo in his presentation. So I'm Julie Lepretre, and I'm indeed a policy officer in the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions unit in the Directorate General for Education, Youth, Sport and Culture at the European Commission. So overall, I just would like to stress as an introduction that I just hope that you don't hear the noises around. There are some works in the building. The MSCA under Horizon Europe will continue playing a key role actually in training highly skilled and adaptable and resilient researchers, which has been indeed really crucial during the pandemic, and which is of course still crucial in the post-COVID recovery. As an introduction still, I just would like to say that in the years to come, international, cross-sectoral and interdisciplinary cooperation, which are the key dimensions of the program, will be further enhanced. We are also introducing some novelties from a policy point of view, such as the MSCA Green Charter or new guidelines for the supervisors. I won't take so much time on the first slide because actually Vincenzo has already mentioned the Horizon Europe program. I just would like to stress again that indeed Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions are part of the Pillar 1, which funds excellent science and which supports frontier research and breakthrough scientific ideas. In a nutshell, here you have the key figures of the MSCA under Horizon 2020. So as you can see, in these 7 years of Horizon 2020, the MSCA have supported 65,000 researchers, including 25,000 doctoral candidates, as well as more experienced researchers. We have also funded more than 1,000 doctoral programs. And actually, what we would like to stress is that the MSCA are a program to the benefit of researchers, but also of institutions. And as Vincenzo rightly said, of course, our program is open to all. The program has also promoted strong links beyond academia with industry and SMEs. So as you can see on the slide, we have supported more than 4,500 companies which have been involved in the program. And one of our priorities is also to support women into research and to contribute to achieving equal access of women and girls to science. So as you can see on the slide, female researchers make up almost 42% of the program. here you have the key figures for MSCA in Africa. Actually, we have supported more than 1,800 African researchers. 45 countries have been involved. And I also introduced one slide on MSCA in South Africa, because actually South Africa is very well performing under the MSCA. But of course, there are still some possibilities to further participate and to further improve these figures. So far, we have supported 234 researchers from South Africa. These represent in total 80 participations involving 35 single institutions. Among which almost 80% are higher education establishments. So the MSCA is the EU's reference program for doctoral and postdoctoral training, and it contributes to a highly skilled research-based human capital able to detect and tackle upcoming challenges, but also to communicate scientific evidence to policymakers and to the public, and to work across disciplines. It provides researchers with skills needed in the labor market to innovate and to convert knowledge and ideas into products and services for economic and social benefit of our societies. And it develops excellent doctoral programs, as I already mentioned before, enhancing then the global attractiveness and the visibility of institutions which are involved. Total budget under Horizon Europe is 6.6 billion euros. And we have a worldwide geographic coverage as the program is one of the more international one under Horizon Europe for research and innovation. Some key features of the MSCA. So we support researchers at any stage of their career with a focus on training, skills, and career development. We promote structuring impact on organizations through excellent doctoral and postdoctoral programs. What I would like to stress as well, and this is an important dimension, we have a bottom-up approach, meaning that the program is open to all scientific disciplines. This means that we do not organize targeted calls. Proposals are indeed selected on the basis of their excellence, on the impact and the quality and efficiency of the implementation. The program is open to researchers from all over the world, and today about 40% of MSCA researchers are from outside the EU. In terms of cross-sectoral and interdisciplinary cooperation, we promote strong links beyond academia with industry and SMEs, including now under Horizon Europe with financial incentives. We also promote attractive working and employment conditions. And this is part really of, this is the core of our program, all these key features that you have here on the slide. We have 5 actions, but actually 3, I would say, are of most interest for you. So first of all, we have the international doctoral networks, including joint doctorates and industrial doctorates, which are established by consortia of universities, but also research centers, enterprises, and relevant non-academic partners. The second action is the postdoctoral fellowships for more experienced researchers and who are actually interested in doing their research in Europe, but also outside. We have also the staff exchanges action, which support research and innovation staff exchanges between institutions. And we have 2 other actions, which I would say are maybe a bit of less interest. Co-fund is still interesting for you. It's the co-funding of doctoral and postdoctoral programs. MSc and citizens, here we are a bit out of the scope because actually this is a public outreach event which is specifically dedicated to member states and countries associated to the Horizon Europe program. You have also here 2 examples of projects, but I won't go through them. I believe, and I heard actually, that this presentation will be shared with all of you. So I just would like to focus on the opportunities for third countries and actually organizations from Africa. And I would like to insist on this, can participate in all the actions, doctoral networks, staff exchanges, postdoctoral fellowships, and co-fund, except, as I said, MSc and citizens. And organizations can participate systematically as associated partner and can participate as beneficiary in the doctoral networks. So being beneficiary means that you sign the grant agreement, but you have also a minimum number and the geographical requirements, and you receive funding directly. Being associated partner means that you contribute to the action, but you do not receive the funding directly. However, being an associated partner is still very interesting and also has some advantages, actually, which could be summarized in lighter processes. As individuals, as researchers, African researchers can participate in all the actions, again, doctoral networks, staff exchanges, postdoctoral fellowships, and co-fund. For doctoral networks, individuals apply to the program of their choice through the EURAXESS job portal, and I believe that there will be also a presentation on EURAXESS later on this morning. For staff exchanges, staff participate through the sending institution. For postdoctoral fellowships, researchers have to find a host organization. And for co-fund, again, individuals apply through the EURAXESS job portal. Here you have the call calendar, and as you can see, since yesterday, the staff exchanges call has opened, so I strongly encourage you to have a look to this action, which is, let's say, an easy access, or maybe the easiest access to the Sklodowska-Curie actions, because it's about short-term mobility, and again, it concerns all staff involved in research and innovation. And as you can see, doctoral networks is still ongoing until the 15th of November. Co-fund will also open next week. Here you have some key resources and guidance. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but maybe just to stress that you can, of course, find all the relevant documents on the funding and tenders portal. You can also find some support with EURAXESS and EURAXESS Africa, which is a very good news for us, because it will support also specifically African researchers and organizations. And you have also the national contact points, which are very useful and reliable contacts for you to understand how to apply efficiently to the different actions. Here, I also listed the Marie Curie Alumni Association, because you have there is an African chapter, and it could be also useful to have a look to the support they could provide. All in all, actually, I saw that Vincenzo has also shared a slide with useful links, so I believe that you have here all relevant information, but of course, I'm happy to answer to any further questions. Thank you very much for your time and for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie, for that presentation. I think we will open up for 1 or 2 burning questions on the 2 presentations, but participants are also welcome to keep posting questions on the chat. So we will open up for 2 questions if there are any questions from the 2 presentations. I don't see any hands at the moment. So I propose that we continue with the presentation, and if any questions comes, they can still post them on the chat platform. Our next presenter is from our entity, one of our entities, the Water Research Commission, Mr. Tiyani Chauke, who is the Manager for International Projects. South Africa is part of a water joint procurement initiative, which is now called Water for All, and he will be sharing the presentation on the opportunities currently open under the platform. Over to you, Mr. Chauke. You are muted.
Very much, Chair. Yes, thank you very much, Chair. If I can just share my presentation. Please, Chair, advise if you can see my presentation.
Yes, we can see. You can just put it on presentation mode.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity and time to talk to you around some of the opportunities that we have under the Water Research Commission, looking at our cooperation with international partners as well as our national partners, particularly the Department of Science and Innovations in this regard, the Water for All projects. Just to state, as stated by the Chair, my name is Tiyani Chauke. I am the International Projects Manager at the Water Research Commission, and today I'll be focusing most of my attention on the Water for All joint call that was recently launched in September this year. The WRC, in partnership with the DSI, has been under the what we call the Water JPI program, which was called Water Joint Programming Initiative, which has seen a number of water and sanitation related research and development activities, agendas that were implemented, in this case, looking particularly at research activities. We have in the past undertaken, participated in around about 5 calls from Water Works 2014, Water Works 2017, IC for Water, Biodiversa, Aquapolitans, and now under the New Horizon framework program and partnership framework, we have what we call the Water for All project. So far to date, we've had around about close to 18 projects undertaken with partnership with the Water JPI partnership, and hopefully in the next call, with this particular call, the Water for All program, we'll have more projects with our international partners. Now, Water for All is themed this year, water security for the planet. And it is an international partnership program that is aimed at enabling security in the long run through boosting systematic transformation and changes across the water research landscape. So it is looking at issues around water innovation, fostering matchmaking, and between problem owners and solution providers. To date, it is comprised of 80 partners from 31 countries. And in this respect, and I've seen that in the previous presentations, especially by Vincenzo, that African participation has increased in the Horizon Framework programs. In the Water JPI, we still have 1 partner, and we hope that will increase in the future. And we're working towards that. So, of course, we'll be working with the DSI to strengthen that particular issue. Now, we are looking at having this consortium that will work beyond the normal calls that are going to be articulated and launched in the next coming few years. The Water for All program consortium is looking at having at least 6 calls, and is looking at having it, and this will run for approximately 11 years, so it will end in 2023. Now, it is important to understand that this international consortium projects and partners brings together different partners from different funding institutions in different countries who come together, deliberate on the topics, deliberate on the science, deliberate on the relevance of the science around the water and sanitation space, or science and water and sanitation related space, and how these problems can be addressed. Which brings me to the next slide, around the call that I just spoke about, which was launched in September 2022, and will be closing end of October 2022. Now, the call that was launched has this particular focus on the management of water resources, resilience, adaptation, and mitigation of hydroclimatic extreme events and management tools. So that is the main sort of context of the call and what it's looking for. In the presentation, we'll share some links of where you can get the call and actually have a read at it. Now, what does the call actually seem to achieve, or wants to achieve and aim in this regard? It seeks to deliver knowledge, models, approaches and tools and methodologies that will better understand the hydrologic processes of the different scales and to respond more efficiently to the emerging issues related to extreme events. I'm sure in the respective countries, as well as in Africa, we've noted already some of the extreme changes in the climatic changes that are happening. In South Africa, and particularly in Pretoria today, is quite hot, and for a number of days now, the climate, the temperatures of the world have quite increased. We're looking at issues of droughts that are actually happening at various areas. Cape Town experienced one. We had issues around Gqeberha as well. Also looking at issues of floods that are actually happening. KwaZulu-Natal is the same case where we had a number of floods. So extreme climatic changes and weather events are actually happening. And this particular call seems to also want to address those challenges. So the calls are always, and we try to have the calls much relevant to what the conditions of our current countries and situations and climate are, to address them practically. Now, the results in this particular call aim to support the implementation of a number of strategies. And this also includes the Green Deal, particularly from the EU, which is also looking at climatic changes and events, but also within the continent as well, to look at some of those challenges that we are facing and some of the strategies, as noted from the white paper, as noted from STISA, Agenda 23, as well as Agenda 2060. So these are some of the strategic areas that we're looking into, and looking at issues of SDGs as well, because it addresses those type of activities or policies. Now, the call itself, the research call and proposals, as stated, they will be submitted under the waterfall, the joint research call, and the topics that have been looked into. So each proposal that is to be submitted for consideration and evaluation has to include at least one of the following topics as noted below. One of those topics, and I'll go through one by one. The first one is looking at the issues of resilience, adaptation and mitigation of hydrothermal events. The second one is looking at issues of tools of water management in the context of extreme events as well. And number three is looking at governance structures, as well as in the context of extreme hydrothermal events and international context. So it has a global outlook. So it's not only just focusing on a particular continent, but all continents. Now, in terms of timeframes and rules when it comes to South Africa and how we are approaching this and our submission, and I should state that, and I'll articulate the reasons why we are looking at it this way. We encourage that South African-based researchers within the space to submit their pre-proposals to the WRC, particularly to me, who's serving as the national contact point for Water for All project, by the 18th of October. I know it's not much time, but the call was launched in September the 1st, and it was advertised as such. And we are hoping that by the 25th of October, we can give you some feedback. Now, the feedback will not be detailed, but we'll be focusing on the strategic objectives of the WRC and the country when it comes to water-related research, development, and innovation, which also includes issues related to climate change, because climate change affects most of the work that we do, and it affects everything. So all these matters are cross-cutting. And we will then give you that feedback so that you can at least submit to the Secretariat by the end of October, which is the closing date of the call, the 31st of October. The WRC serves as the national funding organization. So should your project be successful, we will then contract with you. But I should state that this is terms of, will be based on the ranking list. So the top 2 ranking projects from South Africa, or rather with South African participation funded by the WRC. Of course, participants can submit their proposals not going through the WRC. However, we are under no obligation to fund that project, even if it's successful in the top 2. So the reason why we want the researchers or applicants to go through us is so that we can at least advise on the strategies around that, but around their research or university research proposals, so that it actually addresses the challenges of the country and the science of the country. The WRC has committed approximately 90,000 euros. We have taken this at a 17 Rand exchange rate, and that gives us around about 1.5 million. So each project over a 3-year period will be funded at approximately 765,000 rands. So these are the timelines with respect to the submission of the calls. Now, adding to that, in terms of the programmatic approach and how it is going to function, the pre-proposals will be the selection for pre-proposals, and this is budget for January 2023. This will be done at the secretariat model. This is why I spoke about the ranking and so on. And we will then request the applicants to then submit a full proposal in around March 2023, and that will be still before the new financial year with respect to South African funding processes. And the selection of proposals will be done in June 2023. That will be in the new financial year. And we hope that in August, somewhere there, the projects will then kick off and it will be implemented. So upon that stage, the successful South African-based researchers or research institutions will then contract with the WRC, and this will be done through a business management systems portal, which will normally, if you've actually contracted with us, we will either send you a template or something to that sort. Then we will then submit your proposal through that particular system, and then we'll contract with that particular system. Now that system or the contracting in that respect is just a formality on how we can of implementation. There may be some few changes, but it will not be major changes. So upon contracting, and once contracted, we will then fund the project, and the researchers can implement the project based on the contract. Chair, I thank you all for everyone's attention and for giving us this opportunity to strengthen the cooperation between South Africa, Africa, and the EU, and more specifically to strengthen our cooperation in the field of water and sanitation, or rather in the field of water and sanitation-related research, development, and innovation activities. My details and those of the team that I'm working with in this space are on the presentation. We have the local stakeholder manager, myself, and our junior colleague who is assisting us in most of the administration in this particular presentation. Now, I thank you, Chair, for your time, and look forward to the many submissions and to any questions that may be arising. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chauke. As Mr. Chauke mentioned, he is the national contact point for the Water for All program. So if there's any queries related to the program in the call, please, you are welcome to contact him or contact the TSI, and then we will forward the queries to him. Thank you very much, Mr. Chauke. Our next presenter is going to share opportunities under the Biodiversa program. I would like to call Ms. Clara Superbi, who is from the Biodiversa BiodiVMon call secretariat, to share more about the call that is currently open. Over to you, Clara.
Yes, thank you very much. My colleague Clara is stuck in a train, so I will make the presentation so yes, thank you.
Thanks, Sophie.
Can I share my slides or
yes. Yes, please do share.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Okay. So hello everyone, I'm Sophie Germann. I'm working with Clara. We are at the Biodiversa. We are working for the Biodiversa Plus Call Secretariat at the French funding organization in France. So I would like to present you today more information on Biodiversa Plus partnership, which has also been launched in last October 2021, and more particularly, I will focus on their second call, which is called BiodiversaMon call, on improved transnational monitoring of biodiversity and ecosystem change for science and society, which is the second call launched within this partnership. So just to tell you that what I will present, first a general introduction on Biodiversa Plus partnership, which is also like Water for All, European co-funded partnership under Horizon Europe. And then on the second time, I will present the topic and scientific content of the BiodiverMon research call. And in the last time, the call process and eligibility rules. So I really invite you to consult the information of the call here on the link given here. So introduction to Biodiversa Plus. It's a European biodiversity partnership, which has been launched in October 2021, which aims to support excellent research on biodiversity with an impact for policy and society. So on the left figure, it's 5 main pillars of the partnership. The first one is promote and support research and innovation programs and projects, which is where the calls are part of. And then the second pillar is on promoting and supporting transnational biodiversity monitoring. The third one is on promoting and supporting nature-based solutions and valuation of biodiversity in private sectors. The fourth one is to better connect research and innovation programs and projects to policy. And the last one is on internationalizations of European research and innovations. So it's a partnership who will be we will be of 7 years around, and with a budget of 800 million euros. So in this partnership, there are 37 countries involved and more than 70 partners. So 23 from EU 13 countries and 17 from associated countries. As a Water for All partnership, they aim to launch 6 calls planned over 7 years. Each call will be of more than 40 million euros each, and they aim to fund around 30 projects per call. So we have today the first release of the first call, where the first calls we had 36 projects recommended for funding. So if you want more information on the strategic research and innovation agenda, you can follow this link. So for this call on monitoring, it's part of the cross-cutting team A, which is a better knowledge on biodiversity and its dynamics. So to move to the second part of my talk is on the topic and scientific content of the BiodiverMon call, which is on improved transnational monitoring of biodiversity and ecosystem change for science and society. So as I told you, if you need more information, you can go on this link. So what are the priorities of the BiodiverMon call? So the general objective is to advance knowledge on biodiversity through transnational monitoring, building on previous and existing efforts across Europe and beyond, in order to enhance knowledge on species distribution and abundance. So what are the expected contribution here in this call is to enhance and upscale existing methods and or develop, apply and evaluate known methods to better characterize, understand and model biodiversity status, dynamics and trends, at relevant spatio-temporal scales. Also, the other expected contribution is to develop tools for better implementation and harmonization, to show the power of new and existing monitoring information to inform transformative policies and management, and to fill knowledge gaps in terms of taxa coverage, ecosystem types, regions, and sampling frequency, and make links with operational monitoring schemes, research infrastructures, or other efforts existing at the national, continental, or global scale. So all environments are eligible. It means terrestrial, freshwater, marine, etc. However, I invite you to check your national eligibility rules if there are any constraints here. But research projects should go beyond single study sites. So if you need more information about the call, you can go. You can look at the call text in the call documents for more information. So you have the link here. So there are three main themes for this call. So the proposal should address one or more of the three following themes. The first theme is on innovation and harmonization of methods and tools for collection and management of biodiversity monitoring data. The second theme is on addressing knowledge gaps on biodiversity status, dynamics, and trends to safeguard biodiversity and to reverse biodiversity loss. And the last theme is to make use of available biodiversity monitoring data. So as I told you, I really invite you to look at the call text if you want more information and clarification on what we expect on this call on monitoring. So regarding the call process and eligibility rules, so there will be these first steps. So the summation of pre-proposals is around like 5 pages of project description, plus additional information that you need to enter into an online platform. The submission deadline is on the 9th of November. So it's more or less in 1 month. So the first steps will consist of an eligibility check and then an evaluation by an independent committee following the three assessment criteria, which are fit to the scope of the call, novelty of the research, and impact. The results of the first step will be communicated around mid-February 2023. And then there will be the second step for the pre-proposals invited to move to this step, with a submission deadline on the 5th of April 2023. And the second step will consist also on an eligibility check by the call secretariat and the all national funding organizations, and then an evaluation by the evaluation committee and also by external reviewers. They will follow the three assessment criteria, which are excellence, quality and efficiency of the implementation, and impact. And the communication of the results of the second steps will be done late September 2023. So if you would like to apply to this call, I really invite you to take care of the format, as you really need, this is a mandatory steps. You need to submit your proposal at the first step, and you need to respect the page limits, the number, type of attachments, and the links and hyperlinks are not allowed. So if you would like more information on the indicative pre-proposal and full proposal application forms, you can also find them in the call documents. I also really invite you to look at the assessment criteria, which will be used by all the reviewers. So what are the types of projects that we expect under Biodiversa Plus call? So the projects are expected to be scientifically excellent, be multidisciplinary where relevant, demonstrate a transnational added value, and also engage stakeholders and demonstrate political and or societal relevance. Just to let you know that the expectation at the level, the expectation are for at the level of the whole project and not at the level of each research partners. So you need to make sure to have the right expertise in the project as a whole and to include in your consortium all the necessary partners to have to meet the expectations. So yes, as I told you, there are specific assessment criteria to evaluate this. Regarding the average so the average, it's medium-sized projects. The average regarding the budget per project, it's around 1.2, 1.5 million euros. And in the consortium, around, it's an average, around 7 partners from different countries. And the minimum is 3. And also, Biodiversa Plus strongly supports open science. And so the project should generate fair data and knowledge. So what is meant by transnational added value? It's part of the assessment criteria. There should be clear evidence of added value either directly within the countries involved in the research or indirect value accrued as a result. For example, learning from models applied to countries outside of the countries involved. So I won't enter into detail because I have so many things to tell you. But you can find this definition in the assessment criteria document, which you can find in the call documents. So the general eligibility criteria regarding the composition of your consortium. So in this call, there are 46 funding organizations from 33 countries, which include South Africa, for total funding over 40 million euros. So the first key criteria is we need transnational research consortia with eligible research partners from minimum 3 different countries participating in the call. And it should include at least 3 different funding organizations, and 2 must be from different EU member states or associated countries participating to the call, as it's a rule from the European Commission. So you have the list, the updated list of participating countries and funding organizations that you can find following this link. And you can also find the update of the list of associated countries in a document produced by the European Commission. So if you look for a partner or for a project you would like to submit or you would like to join, we have a partner search tool. If you follow this link, you simply have to fill in a partner project search form on the online platform in English. So your form will be visible on this platform and you may be contacted by other applicants. So I really invite you to have a look at the form submitted through a user-friendly search function. So either you can search for partners or projects to join on the platform according to different criteria, which are country, discipline, and keywords. So for now, we have already 25 projects looking for research partners and more than 100 researchers looking for a project to join. So don't hesitate to look at this as this tool if you would like to join this call. Regarding, to come back to the general eligibility criteria, the project duration of 3 years. The project are expected to be a transnational project and not as a mosaic of national projects. And the project coordinators should be eligible by a funding organization, participating funding organization, and can only participate once as a project coordinator. and applicants can participate in several proposals as long as this is in line with the funding organization's eligibility rules. The proposal must be written in English, and the scope or scale of the proposed research should exceed a single country. So then, in addition to the call eligibility criteria, each research partner should follow the rule of its national regional funding organization. As each partner will be funded by its national regional funding organization. So all applicants are strongly advised to approach their respective funding organization contact point to make sure they respect all the LGBT criteria and rules. And for example, you can look in this document, you can find the link here, all the rules of all the funding all the participating funding organization. So please note that if one partner is not eligible, the whole proposal will be considered ineligible and will not be evaluated unless the eligibility issues can be fixed without changing the substance of the proposal. So just to wrap up the general call schedule, please, you should remind the two deadlines, and the first one, which is a mandatory step, is on the 9th of November for the submission of your pre-proposal. So if you would like to submit to this call, do not wait the last minute to submit. And if you would like to work on a proposal, you can use all these documents which are available on Biodiversa Plus website, which is the Stakeholder Engagement Handbook, the Guide on Policy Relevance of Research, the Citizen Science Toolkit, and there is also the guidance document on data management, open data, and production of data management plans. So here it's all the resources available online, so you can consult the Biodiversa Plus website, and I think the slides will be made available also. So yeah, we really invite you to read carefully all the documents. So that's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Sophie, for the presentation. I already note two questions that have not been responded for you on the chat. One is from David, and he's asking, please clarify what is meant by transactional monitoring.
Yes, I think best is because I'm not a real expert in the field of monitoring, and we are not invited to give advice on the call text. So usually we invite all the researchers to look at the call text for more information. There are more than 5 pages of information on the call text, which can be found in the call documents available online.
Okay, and the second question from Sandy Lynn. She's asking if the format of the pre-proposal is exactly the same for South African as it is for European partners.
At least for, maybe you can add more information on this on your side, but for the call, what is requested is the same template of pre-proposal. So it's you should submit your application online on the platform we call EPSS, which is a very really easy to use platform and very friendly. And inside, you will have to download a 5 pages project description at the pre-proposal stage. So I don't know, I didn't have time to look at the rule of South Africa into details. I don't know if you have additional document that the applicants from South Africa need to submit to you, but at least it's written in the funding organization rules.
Thank you, Sophie. No, we don't have additional documents, but the process is similar to the process that was outlined by Mr. Chauke, where we advise South African researchers to please contact the DSI and share their project ideas before they submit with European partners for the call. So it is recommended that they first check with the DSI to check the alignment, national alignment, and their budget before submitting to the consortium, to the secretariat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sophie.
Yeah,
I think
thanks.
I don't see any other questions. I think most of the questions have been responded to by the previous presenters on the chat. So I propose that we move on to the next session, where we will invite our 3 speakers, starting with Ms. Karabo Mphogo, who is the Assistant Director for Strategic Partnerships at the Department of Science and Innovation. She will be presenting opportunities available under the sector budget support and also take the participants through the support instruments available through the ESASTAP platform. Over to you, Karabo.
Okay, could you please confirm if you can see my screen?
We can see your screen. Just expand to presentation mode. Thank you.
There you go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Karabo Mphogo. I work as an Assistant Director in the Strategic Partnerships Unit at the Department of Science and Innovation. I will be presenting on the sector budget support call for proposals, which was launched on the 31st of August and will be closing on the 31st of October. Just a brief overview of the presentation. I'll be going through the background of the SBS program, giving an introduction to the call, the scope, including the 3 components under the call, the eligibility criteria, the eligible costs, the application process, as well as the ESASTAP presentation. The DSI has been a beneficiary of EU development funds from DGDevCo, now known as the Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument, through the Sector Budget Support Program. The DSI is currently implementing projects supported through the SPS program, focusing on viability and validation of innovation for service delivery, innovative technology solutions, R&D partnerships for competitiveness, as well as international innovation support. This presentation will focus on the international innovation support component. The DSI seeks to focus on socioeconomic development in South Africa through research and innovation. To achieve this, the department provides leadership and enabling environment and resources for science, technology, and innovation. Through the SPS call under the International Innovation Support Actions, the program is aimed to support learnings from different approaches that facilitate the creation of social and commercial value for research and development outputs that translate to R&D outputs adopted into policy, social, and commercial value. These originate from international cooperation programs that are particular from collaborative cooperation in the EU framework programs. South African researchers within the National System of Innovation, including academia, science councils, NGOs, and the private sector, who have completed projects under the EU framework programs FP6, FP7, Horizon 2020, including EDCTP and the EURAXESS, are invited to submit proposals for funding of their projects. These proposals should be from results completed projects with international partners, which can be escalated to the next level in order to ensure maximum impact. The call is open to South African researchers, as mentioned before, who have completed projects in the previous framework programs. Applicants are invited to submit proposals relating to the closed or completed project. Each applicant or researcher is required to submit only one proposal for the following categories: scaling up towards market readiness, policy advice and demonstration, as well as partnership building and business support. The first component is focused on project ideas, products, services that have to be innovative, market-driven, result-orientated, as well as have technological risk involved. There must be proof of a concept, for example, a prototype, which is close enough to market to end users. The project must have an obvious advantage and benefit resulting in the technological cooperation between participants. For example, it could lead to increased knowledge, an increased knowledge base, commercial leads, access to research and development infrastructure, and so on and so forth. The project should benefit all involved partners in a well-balanced consortium. Therefore, no single organization should be responsible for more than 70% of the project budget. This is a basic requirement for majority of the projects under EU framework programs. Participation by international partners is allowed. However, it should be from their own funding. We encourage historically disadvantaged institutions and individuals to apply and to work together with international partners. The budget allocation for this component is 5 million rand per project. The second component focuses on products and services that are innovative and influence policy direction in a specific thematic area that enhances research that has already been done, ultimately resulting in possible research on expanding elements that help policymakers make decisions. The demonstration must be new to the environment, but in line with the objectives of the original completed project. The project must benefit all involved partners, again, in a well-balanced consortium. And the proposal must clearly define possible policy changes and amendments in line with government rules and regulations. Again, participation by international partners is allowed. However, funding can be negotiated with South African partners. Participation by international partners should be through their own funding. Again, historically disadvantaged institutions or individuals are strongly encouraged to apply, and the budget allocation for this component is 1.5 million per project. The final component is for applicants who have submitted proposals but were not approved. However, they have been given the response that their proposals are good enough and can, are in response to the first two components, the scaling up towards market readiness or the policy advice categories. Proposals must provide an in-depth business plan with milestones to translate the results of the project to enhance collaboration and the forming of international partnerships, therefore enabling the opportunity to apply for funding on future international opportunities. The budget allocation for this component is 500,000 per business plan for support. The eligibility criteria for this call, again, is open for all South African researchers and innovators who have completed projects in the previous framework programs, that is FP6, FP7, Horizon 2020, including EDCTP and the EURAXESS. The project should be implemented in South Africa. Therefore, the project idea, product, process, or service must be innovative with relevance to the completed project. The duration for each project may not exceed 24 months. For the eligible costs, each project proposal will go through a financial assessment process to finalize the exact funding. The funding will then be transferred in tranches in accordance to the project duration. Please note that the selected projects will enter into budget negotiation with the DSI, where they have to motivate what budget items are going to be covered in that project, bearing in mind DSI policies when it comes to the overheads. The application process for this call is as follows. The application forms can be accessed on the ESASTAP.org.za website. Closing date for submissions is the 31st of October. The evaluation and selection process should be concluded in November, and successful applicants will be notified in December. We strongly encourage all applicants to submit any queries through our contact@esastap.org.za email address to gauge whether they fit the eligibility criteria as noted previously. That concludes the SPS presentation. I will move on to the ESASTAP support instruments. So ESASTAP stands for the European South African Science and Technology Advancement Program, which is in response to the framework program that funds all the EU projects and programs since the joint science and technology cooperation discussions which took place many years ago. The project itself has had many iterations in response to the framework programs. So we started with ESASTAP, which moved on to ESASTAP 2. We then changed to EURAXESS in response to FP7, which was called Access for EU. We then moved on to ESASTAP Plus. Then we had ESASTAP 2020, which was in response to the Horizon 2020 program. And now we have ESASTAP 2021 onwards. Through the website, the DSI creates awareness raising and information sessions through events, workshops, exhibitions, and through the information disseminated on the website. We have an advisory and technical support system through our National Contact Point network. We also have ESASTAP Desk, which responds to email queries regarding thematic areas, events, open calls, so on and so forth. We also have a desk in Brussels, where we have a senior science and technology representative, but who is currently Miss Judy Mabuza. She is responsible for strengthening science technology cooperation between South Africa and the EU. We also have a strong relationship with our DSI line directorates, where we call our technical experts to consult and provide guidance for researchers and innovators who want to apply to certain calls. We also have partner matching services, where we organize events such as this information session and support innovators through brokerage events, where we encourage applicants to collaborate and form networks so that they are able to apply and respond to the open calls. We also offer financial support through seed funding, through the framework program, and through COST. You will hear more about the COST actions program from our speaker, Katalin Alfodi. We also have co-investments on approved projects for implementation, as well as top-ups for ongoing projects. Through the website, we also advertise or disseminate information on upcoming calls, such as the European and development countries clinical trials partnerships, which is in its third iteration, and the DSI has joined through the Global Health Joint Undertaking. More calls are coming up, so we encourage you to be on the lookout for that. We also have calls under the EURAXESS program, which will come out in December, and finally calls under the EURAXESS program. Important websites to note: we strongly encourage you to subscribe to our mailing list to receive all the information that we disseminate. You can visit our website at www.esastap.org.za, and also encourage you to follow us on our social media networks. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Ms. Mphogo, for the presentation. We will have a final Q&A session after the next two presentations. So if you have any questions, you can post them there, or rather post them on the chat. Our next presenter is Ms. Katalin Alfodi, who is a policy officer at the COST Association. COST is a European Cooperation in Science and Technology program that the DSI is currently supporting. So I will hand over to Katalin to please take us through the COST presentation.
Thank you very much, Tugela. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for inviting and providing the opportunity to introduce the COST program. I'm sharing my screen, and I hope that you can see it and hear me. Can you confirm, please?
Yes, Katalin, we can hear and see.
Great, thank you very much. So as Tugela introduced me, my name is Katalin Alfodi. I'm working at the COST Association as a policy officer in charge of global networking, which is to cover international cooperation with countries that are not a full member to the COST Association. In this capacity, I'm very happy to be here with you today and to continue or give another impetus to the collaboration between South African research community and COST, as well as to provide you a small presentation about what the COST program is, what it entails, what it covers, explain a bit the instrument that it funds, which is the COST action, and also finish the presentation with the points maybe most interesting or most can expect most of your questions on how to engage with the COST action. Without further ado, I would like to start with introducing the COST program, which is a European Commission-funded program, part of the Horizon Europe Framework Program budget. But it's managed by an intergovernmental organization, which is the COST Association. The mission of this program is to provide networking opportunities for research innovators and all stakeholders that are needed to a successful advancement of research results. This is a European-based program, but with a strong and growing force in entailing global collaboration and collaboration with countries like South Africa, that is a special country to COST, because this is the first partner country to the COST Association. As I said, the COST program is part of the Horizon Europe program. It's situated in the widening participation and strengthening the European research area pillar, which is a horizontal pillar overarching the three main pillars. And it means that the COST activities that are funded, they are implemented by the COST Association and the COST actions themselves. And there is a framework agreement between the COST Association and the European Commission in order to do so. And the final beneficiaries of this agreement and this funding is the COST actions, are the COST actions that receive budget as a third party to the agreement. As I said, the Coast Association is an intergovernmental organization having 40 members, 40 countries as full members, which are presented on this map. And there is also one cooperating member to the Coast Association, which is Israel, and one partner member for what we are very happy and is South Africa. You can also see the presentation on the map, and it is an important point, and you will see why it is an important point that South Africa is a partner member to COST. Just to give you also a little bit the context about how COST performs in Africa, or with the research communities of the different countries in Africa. There is currently 70 cost actions projects running with African stakeholders. These partners are coming from 11 countries. Mainly, you can see the names of the countries, and of course, South Africa is one of them. These 7 actions, these 70 cost actions, it represents 1/4 of the total running cost actions. The covered topics are distributed mainly along the 3 or 4 lines, 4 topics, large themes that are provided on the slide, which is public health, green transition, innovation and technology, as well as capacity building. There is also a little study that has been on mapping that has been prepared. If you're interested, the link is going to be provided with the slides. When cost action, cost activity is carried out, of course, it has a lot of, and the main objective is a lot of benefit on the scientific collaboration and the scientific advancement of the individual as well as the scientific field. But there are, excuse me, there are also additional there are also additional benefits that are coming from the scientific collaboration, and this is the spin-off funding, which is on an average 5.8 million euro per an action that can happen because all the partners and collaborators of a certain cost action continue in smaller groups, in other networking. They continue to work together and continue to apply for further funding, which generates this spin-off following their collaboration or even during the collaboration. We also see that the proposals that have been retained, as a follow-up proposals that have been retained for funding, there is a strong success rate there, which is 37%. And then what is this magical instrument that brings all this benefit? The cost action and efficient networking tool. Basically, the cost actions, they are platforms. They don't fund the research, but they fund the research coordination as well as capacity building. They pool the resources and they help to advance for a successful or an understanding research results. The cost action is basically a network based on a memorandum of understanding that describes the objectives, the main aims, the implementation, as well as the partners of such a network. The duration of a cost action running time is 4 years, and in order to start such a network, you need to have minimum 7 full members from cost, which is a minimum requirement because normally there is an average participation around 30 countries in a network. As I said, the cost actions, they aim for research coordination and capacity building, and they have a budget about 600,000 euro over their lifetimes, over the 4 years of duration. They have a lot of tools, networking tools at their hands to carry out their collaboration. These can range from the management committee meetings, which is basically not only the administrative but the governing meeting, for the network through working group meetings, conferences, training schools, or short-term missions, which is basically exchanges, dissemination, as well as virtual networking grants. And if you think about what could be the benefit of being a participant in a cost action, beyond the clear and understandable benefit from the scientific gains and knowledge gain, it's also, of course, the networking to be visible and be clearly working with leading scientific networks and hubs to find maybe new career opportunities and to have some financial support. And last but not least is how to engage with cost. Normally when researchers think about how to get funding, they of course think about to submit a proposal to a call which is relevant for their research activities. In the case of cost, there is no need to go for a proposal writing and submission cycle in order to be a member of a cost project, a cost action, because there is a possibility to participate to join as a participant to a running cost action. It has the advantage that there is no need to prepare and to prepare a proposal and go through a risky proposal preparation submission process. But of course, it has the disadvantage that when you join to an activity, it has been designed by someone else, and maybe your needs or your expectations will need to be adapted or will not be fully met in that activity. Here I have to say that the cost actions are quite flexible, and with good networking, there could be also discussions and moderations, of course, not to change the cost action, but also to add your views and influence and impact to the cost action operations. But there is also the possibility to join a network of proposers of a new cost action, and as a member of the network of proposers, submit a proposal or be the member of the submitting team for a proposal. We have an open call, and this open call has a collection date on an annual basis. The next collection date is on the 20th of October at midday, according to Brussels time. Last but not least, there is also the possibility to become an expert to evaluate submitted proposals or to monitor the cost actions as they progress. In this case, the activity, being an expert, is a completely remote activity, and it's carried out via the eCost portal. If you want to become a participant in a running cost action, you have to, of course, find the cost action where you would like to join. You can identify one, you can identify two, you can identify many, according to what is actually available, or how much capacity you can have. You can read the cost website about you can browse the cost website about running projects, and you can read the memorandum of understanding in order to gain more information about the certain cost action or the selected cost actions. And when you found the one action that you would be interested in, you can decide what level you would like to engage with that action. You would like to be the representative of your country, like a management committee observer. In that case, you have to be nominated by the Cost National Coordinator of South Africa. And then it means that you will be engaging to that project normally for the 4 years of the running time. You can also join a cost action as a working group member. In that case, you have to apply via the website of the cost action, and this application will be managed by the cost action, and normally in 3 to 4 weeks from your application moment, you will be welcome and admitted to the working group. But this working group work will also entail that you are you are staying with the cost action on a longer term, hopefully, or from the beginning till the end. If you feel that you don't have so much capacity, or if you're interested only for a certain activity on a cost action, you can always apply as a participant in a certain activity of the cost action, a short-term mission, and a training school, conference, a conference grant, and that's, you can see it for yourself, which is most suitable and what is it, what is on supply. So the cost actions website will always tell you what is available and what activities you can apply for. In order to know who is your national correspondents in South Africa, these are the two colleagues. Also, you already met them today. Ms. Tugela and Notombi will assist you through all the process that you need to know in order to successfully join a cost action as a South African representative. And this is how it looks like when you go to our website and you apply for a working group membership or working group member. Then this is your start when you identified your cost action. There you can see the apply button that by pushing that you will be guided through all the application procedure via the eCost website. And just 2 words about how South Africa and the research community from South Africa can benefit from cost and what are the activities that are that can be at your for your use. And in order to do so, of course, you have to register or apply to be part of a cost action, and then you can participate in any of its activities. All the activity of the actions are open for participation. Of course, participation is one thing, and how to get to an to the location of an activity and who will pay for such a mobility, then it's the next question. And this is the beauty and the great advantage of having the partner member collaboration between South Africa and COST is that the Department of Science and Innovation has the seed funding for COST, as it was explained by Karabo just before my presentation, which enables financial support, provides financial support to you in order to participate in COST activities. And you cannot only come to the full members of COST that organize activities. You can also organize activities in South Africa and have colleagues and peers from all over the world to come over to you, also to within the context of a cost action. If you think about, or if you wish to be member of a proposing team, to submit a proposal with the proposing team on the cost open call, which can be to the next collection date, to the 20th of October, or for any of the next ones, you have to follow the submission requirements described on the website. And currently, from this round, we will have 70 new cost actions that will be funded. And last but not least, please think about to join the group of cost experts, which will provide you the opportunity not only to evaluate the cost of proposals or assess the ongoing projects, but also to have another way of networking with fellow evaluators and to understand and see how a cost action proposals is being developed. And I thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Katalin, for that presentation on the COST program. We're going to move to our last presenter for this segment, which is Dr. Ahmed Maalel. He is the regional representative for the Africa EURAXESS Worldwide, and he will be presenting on the EURAXESS Africa Network. I'll hand over to you, Ahmed.
Good morning. You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Okay. So you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. Just move. Yes, that's perfect.
Good. It is a pleasure for me to be with you today. First of all, I will present myself, and I will present after that the EURAXESS Africa Hub. So I am Dr. Ahmed Maalel. I am the regional representative for EURAXESS Africa, and I am also associate professor at University of South in Tunisia and a former Horizon Europe National Contact Point and Horizon 2020 ICT NCP. So for EURAXESS Worldwide is an European initiative backed by the European Commission, consisting of services, portals, and tools dedicated to research which work outside of Europe, which connect with the professional or in research and innovation, collaboration, and peer opportunities in Europe. For EURAXESS Worldwide, and a reliable source of information and ideas in research and innovation related to funding and hosting opportunities in Europe, helps talented European and international research to explore transnational ties with research employees and scientific community, and helps develop careers within the global RNI system. So here we can see the photo of EURAXESS Worldwide team. For the first year in 2021, we have preparatory activities for establishment of EURAXESS Africa. You can see here the platform of EURAXESS, and if you can click on the top of EURAXESS Worldwide, you can see the regions related to EURAXESS Worldwide, and in top you can see Africa. So for 2022, you have the official launch of EURAXESS Africa Hub. As you can see here, you can sign up for free membership to EURAXESS Africa. It is easy and it is free. What can we do for you? First of all, promote EU national research landscape, promote EU funding opportunities like Horizon Europe, Erasmus Plus, and many other mechanisms, promote EURAXESS network, invite speakers from the network, and connect research with research labs. Our tools are usually the website, platform for EURAXESS, social media, flash notes, newsletters, and information sessions. I give you some indicators related to African countries. And for Horizon 2020, for the framework program, you can see here the first country is South Africa with 61 million euro of EU contribution, and second one is Tunisia as associate country, and Ethiopia. Related to scientific publication. So you can see here the progression of scientific publications between 1996 and 2021. Related to events organized by EURAXESS Africa. So first of all, in 16 March 2022, we have co-organized with European Research Council 2 webinars, one in French and another in English. That we present for the first time EURAXESS Africa, and in June 17 we have present EURAXESS Africa in Tunisia in the second networking day at the Faculty of Medicine of Sousse. After that, in Morocco, related to Horizon Europe Info Day and practical workshops. It is the first for us to present EURAXESS Africa and how to use a platform related to funding and tenders opportunities and EURAXESS platform. Here in Ministry of Education at Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, it is a bilateral meeting with Dr. Solomon to exchange about how research in Ethiopia can get more benefit from all opportunities given by EURAXESS Africa and European Commission. Here you can see some events and some webinars organized by EURAXESS Africa. In July, we organized MSCA Africa webinars in collaboration with MSCA team in European Commission, one in French and one in English. After that, we organized the French webinar related to all opportunities given by Belgium to African countries. And after that, the first webinar dedicated for Horizon Europe September 14, and the last webinar organized in 20 September related to cost European cooperation in science and technology. So save the date for October 11. We launch our webinar series related in collaboration with Taylor and Francis. So the first subject in the first webinar, it will be dedicated to understanding open research. So you can register in this webinar and save the date also for next webinar for 20 October 2022, dedicated to MSCA Staff Exchange Webinar for Africa, Research and Innovation Projects with Europe. Our key partners in Africa, we have Agence Universitaire de la Francophonie, we have the African Academy of Sciences, we have Association of African Universities, Fédération of Arab Scientific Research Councils, ERD, and Réseau National des Instituts Pasteur. So here I will see you the promotional video for EURAXESS Africa. If it's okay, you can interrupt me if not okay. Okay. Join us, be informed, be proactive, click on this button and join our community of researchers. We are in LinkedIn, we are in Twitter, we are in Facebook, and our mail is africa@euraxess.net. Free, easy, and valuable. Thank you all for your attention, and bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for that presentation and the video. And I understand that we would also have access of a copy of that video to upload on the ESASTAP website. Okay. I think we are now at the questions and answers section for the 3 presentations that have been delivered. I don't see any questions on the chat. I would like to see if there's any questions from the floor. I don't see any questions. In that regard, I then propose that we take a comfort break because I understand there's been a lot of information shared for the past presentations. We can just take a break for 10 minutes. My watch says 11 o'clock. We will come back at 11:10 to continue with the rest of the program. Thank you very much.
Grid as per the eligibility criteria of that. So we will also nominate as it's been shared with us. So those are the things that we normally focus on. So I'm not going to share because this is actually when we share with the students themselves so that they know what to look at. So currently we have the World in Sabia Scholarship Opportunity. This scholarship program is from master's until PhD. It's open at all levels. We are the nominating agency. The closing date is next week on the 13th of October. In the past, as a department, we didn't accept applications for medical degrees. However, for the 2023 intake, we have decided that we had engagement with the HPCSA, Health Profession Councils, to say, let's see in Sabia which universities have been cleared so that if we send South Africans there, when they come back, they will be able to practice as doctors. So we have received a green light from HPCSA that University of Novi Sad in Sabia, if South Africans go and study there, upon their return, they will be able to practice. So we encourage those who are interested in studying for their medical degrees, they can go and study at University of Novi Sad. We all know that medicine is one of the scarce skills. With what is happening, we do not have enough doctors. So if we do have South Africans who are not able to access all our universities in South Africa, we encourage them to go and study at the University of Novi Sad. For this one, we do co-payment. For the government of Sabia does not provide travel allowance. So as a department, we support students with that, and also we will pay for the settlement allowance once they get into Sabia. So we are requested to nominate 5 South Africans for this opportunity. We have the Commonwealth Master Scholarship Program. This is one of the most sought scholarship program. Is very competitive. Most of the South Africans would like to study in in the UK. So the closing date for this one is on the 18th of October. The scholarship is offered under 6 themes. The themes are available on our website. You can go through the themes. As I've mentioned, we are the nominating agency. Annually, we nominate approximately 24 master's students. As we receive applications, we evaluate according to the selection criteria set by the Commonwealth, the academic merit, the quality of the study plan, potential impact on the development, and also whether the person wants to come back to South Africa, as is one of the requirements. So that is what we base our selection criteria on. One thing that I also want to mention for this year, in the past, students will submit their application, then the referees will receive a notification to submit the reference check for the students. However, for this year, all the supporting documents should be submitted by the deadline of the 18th of October. So we encourage students to go and request their reference letters from the academics, from their supervisor, so that when they submit by the deadline, all the supporting documents should also be submitted. So that is the change for this year for the Commonwealth. We also have the Shivling Scholarship. We had an info session, I think it was yesterday. This is a one-year master's program, taught programs in the UK. For the difference between the two, the Shivling is focusing on the leadership qualities, whereas the Commonwealth is not. And for this one, they do support MBA, whereas the Commonwealth does not support MBA. But for this one, there is a cap for how much they can support you. So if you intend to study through the Shivling or MBA, you need to make provision for what will not be covered for your tuition. So it's also 1 year at any of the partner university at the UK. You also need to have work experience. Work experience, it does not necessarily mean to be formal work experience, even informal work experience, as long as you can quantify the work experience. So the closing date for this one is on the 1st of November. You also need to apply to 3 universities in the UK. Then we have the Swiss Excellent Government Scholarship. This one is from PhD up until the research fellowships. It is also available in all academic fields. We also had a info session earlier this year. I think it was in August. It's for you to be considered for a PhD, you should have obtained your master's by next July. Since we all know that the academic calendar abroad starts in September. There is also age cut. You should be younger than 35 years of age. Unfortunately, if you are above 35, you will be screened out. For PhD candidates, you are requested also to have a chat with your proposed supervisor in Switzerland, so that they support your application. The closing date for this one is on the 15th of October. It usually opens for quite some time. If you are interested and you can't submit this year, you still have an opportunity next year, so that you can check, because on the website, there are names of supervisors. You can reach out, start your discussion with the supervisor, whether they will be able to accept you at their research team. So if you are interested and you do not have feedback this year, you can also try again applying next year. So that is that one. We also have the France Scholarship Program. This is being implemented through Campus France. We do sit on the selection committee for South Africans. It's offered on master's and PhD level. All academic fields, you do not need to know French. This one also, it has an age cut, which is 33 years of age. The deadlines for this one is the 16th of October. For the embassy in South Africa, the Campus France, they do take applications from citizens of South Africa, Lesotho, or Malawi. So those are the current scholarships that are open. And if I can highlight some of those ones that are going to open, which are our flagship scholarship programs. These ones, as the department, we co-fund with the host country. We also provide psychosocial support. We don't only provide support, financial support, but also we provide academic support. Also, we do have people in the department that are responsible for all the students that are studying in this country. So the first one is the Stipendium Hungaricum Scholarship. We are awarded 100 scholarship annually, and the call will open in November. It's available from undergraduate to PhD. It is available in all fields of study. However, we do encourage most students to study in the natural sciences for the undergraduate. For masters and PhD, we are more flexible, so our application can be from any field. The 2020-23 also, we are in negotiations. We also will make, after we receive a green light from the HPCSA, we are going to have the first intake of medical students. We do cover flights, we augment the stipends that the partner country provides to our students. We also assist the students with the SAQA evaluation. Before the students depart to Hungary, we have a pre-departure briefing, the orientation program, where we prepare the students so that when they get to Hungary, they are not overwhelmed by being in a foreign country. I've mentioned that we also provide student support. The Hungarian government will provide tuition, accommodation, stipend, as well as health insurance for the students. The next one will be the Chinese government scholarship program. Also, this is one of our flagship programs. We also nominate South Africans for the students. We receive annually plus or minus 30 offers, and it's also from non-degree programs to PhD and short exchange programs. There are age limits. For bachelor's and language program, you should be under 25 years, and for senior scholars, it is 50, you should be younger than 50 years of age. For the bachelor's program, unfortunately, they are taught in the Chinese language, and the general scholar program is also on the same level as the bachelor's. You need to, it's for those students who want to have a non-degree program. So the requirements will be the same as for the bachelor's and master's degree program. The senior scholars program is also a one-year non-degree program. That one, we check the requirements as for the PhD. Then the semester scholarship program, this one is offered through our international relations office at universities. We normally send the call to them. They will nominate candidates, then they will send their shortlisted candidates to the department. Then we'll send these students to the embassy. These programs, it should be for in those universities that universities have the standing MOUs. So we also have opportunities for German. There are many of them, mostly it's for masters and PhD. It's not only for studies in Germany, but also if you want to study in sub-Saharan countries, and also if you want to study in South Africa. So for the Germany, it's in three, whether you want to study in South Africa, Germany, or in sub-Saharan country. For the sub-Saharan and the studies in South Africa, they work together with the NRF. I've mentioned it's on postgraduate studies. And if you want to apply, your qualification should not be older than 6 years. If it's older than 6 years, unfortunately, you will not be considered. This one does not have an age limit, so they believe that you can study as old as you want. They believe there is no age cut for education. And the most common master's program that they normally advertise will be the airports, the Helmut Schmidt, the Masters in Arts and Culture. This scholarship, they do have two closing dates, the first being in April and the second middle of October. So if you miss the first semester cut, you can apply for the second semester. For the PhD and the postdocs, they have the short stays and the full programs. The short stays, they differ from 1 to 3 months to a full PhD of 3 to 4 years, depending on your field of study. We also have the Mauritius Africa Scholarship Program. This scholarship is also one of our flagship programs. We are finalizing an MOU between South Africa and Mauritius. We are required to nominate 15 candidates annually, 5 per level, undergraduate, masters, and PhD. For masters and PhD, the students should have contact with academics abroad, so they also need to submit a proposal. The proposal, when we normally receive, we send to our universities to evaluate their proposal before we can nominate the candidates. The co-payment as the department, we do offer 15 because for them to apply, they need to pay application fees. So we do support them with application fee. We also pay for their flights. That is not covered by the scholarship. The scholarship says you need to pay your ways to Mauritius. Upon getting to Mauritius, then they will refund you. So we do pay because, as we know, sometimes our students do not have funds, so we assist in that regard. Then we do have the Take Scholarship Program. This one, the department does not have a direct relationship with our role there is just to promote the scholarship. It will open in Jan. It's for undergraduate up until research. They also have age cut. For undergraduate, the candidate should have at least a minimum average of 70%. There is also assessment where they assess your academic performance and the requirement. They also emphasize on the letter of intent. You also need to explain on the letter of intent why do you want to go and study in Turkey. They also emphasize on there should be consistency. If you want to do your PhD in genetics, you should have background in genetics. So if you are not consistent from your undergraduate until PhD, that will work against you. So there should be consistency on the field of studies. The National Emerging Scholar Program, this is one of our national program. It is a 3-year scholarship program where identified South African universities, they partner with the French universities. Is to support next generation of academics. So the department will send out a call to the historically disadvantaged universities and University of Technologies. So those who are interested in participating, they will indicate then after they do that, the Rose University, which is the administrator for this program, will send out a call as per the requirements of universities in South Africa. Then the candidate will pursue their master's in France for 2 years. Upon return, they will go and do their internship at that university for 1 year. Also, the requirement there is NQF level 8 qualification. So I can't say master's, I can't say BTech because it will differ between universities and University of Technology. So it should be a level 8 qualification. The Swedish Institute Scholarship Program. This scholarship program also, we are offered 10 scholarships. South Africans are offered 10 scholarships. The donations are done by the Swedish Embassy and the Department of Higher Education and Training. We also offer assistance for university application fees for 10 candidates. So for this scholarship, firstly, you need to apply for a university application. As soon as you have applied for a university, the scholarship will only open for 10 days in Feb. So normally you need to apply for university by 15th of Jan. So after the system closed for universities, then the call will open for the scholarship. In order for you to be considered for the scholarship, you should have applied for university entry. So if you haven't applied, unfortunately, you will not be considered for the scholarship because you also need to give evidence that you have applied for a university. Yes, so I think I've covered everything there. This year, the South African Development Corporation also launched a new scholarship. It's for 5 students in the SADC region. You should study in any university within the SADC region. So it should be a master's and PhD. We are required to nominate two candidates for the scholarship. And the 2 were competing with 5 with other students from the SADC regions. And from the 2 that we submitted, 1 was successful. So it was such an honor for us because, you know, you see only 5 are awarded. So we were very impressed with our performance this year. The focus here should be within SADC, your study plan, because you also need to, the student needs to submit an essay. They need to align their research to the SADC principles. So what are they going, how are they going to develop the SADC country? So that is the focus of the scholarship program. Then we have the Italian government grants. This is also offered from masters until there is also language and music, arts, they focus on that. So it's also awarded for a period of between 6 to 9 months. The language offered is in Italian, master's, PhD research, also all fields of studies. Unfortunately, with this one, also there is an age limit for PhD programs. Candidates should be younger than 30, and for research, also younger than 40 years. We also sit on the selection committee for the Italian grants. The Cara Asmal scholarship program, this is also one of the oldest scholarship programs. It's in Ireland for a master's degree. They also encourage women in the science, STEM fields, and also the graduates from University of Technology and historically disadvantaged universities. You should demonstrate leadership potential, socio-economic development should be linked to the SDG goals. And for this one, it's highly competitive and it's very academic jet. You should have a grant point of 75% and you should not hold a master's degree. So if you already have a master's qualification, you will not be considered for this scholarship. And you should also have a minimum work experience of 2 years. There are other opportunities. Unfortunately, I will spend the whole day mentioning all of them. We do have what you call an annual scholarship, international scholarship program on our website. If you click on that one, it will show you when a scholarship, if you are interested in a scholarship that I didn't mention, when then it will open and when it will be closed, who's the target and what does it offer, the cost of the scholarship program. So all this information is available on our website, internationalscholarship.gov.za. So yeah, so all our scholarship programs we do advertise on our website. Our website is the main info for us. All the open calls are posted there. We also share on our social media platforms. We have a Twitter page, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Our Twitter page is verified, as we know that there are many imitations, so ours is verified so that we can avoid confusion. As we all know what is happening, people will be offered scholarships where they need to pay a certain amount of money. So to avoid that, we also encourage people to know that if they are required to pay a fee, it means there is something that is not right happening there, because most of the scholarship programs, they do not offer you, they do not want you to pay anything. Application fees, you can't pay for an application fee. So those are our outreach programs, and the other picture where it's people there, it's our students in Hungary. So this is our contact details. If you want to get in touch with the department, you can get, as I've mentioned, our website, social media platforms, and also send us an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nogabe, for that presentation. You already have 2 questions, I think, on the chat. Okay. One is from Tiyani. He's asking if you have any scholarship opportunities for online and remote studies for masters and PhD. The second one is from Pamela. She would like to know if you offer scholarships for short courses.
Thank you. Are they only those two? Only those two?
Yes, it's only those two.
For the first one, remember in order for us to send students abroad, is for us to foster a partnership between South Africa and our partner countries. So if we say we want to foster relationships and we give scholarship for people who are staying in South Africa, that is not fostering any relationship. So we do not offer scholarship for people who want to study online. You should go to a partner country for you to take your studies. The short courses I have highlighted, the Chinese government program, they do have short courses. Hungarian scholarship program, they do have the German scholarship programs. Also, there are short courses. The Switzerland also, they do offer short courses. And Chevening, they did mention yesterday that also they do offer short courses. All the information will be available on our website.
Thank you very much. Another question that we usually get, maybe you can try and respond to it, is regarding the Erasmus Plus program. We usually ask if DHET is involved in promoting or assisting South Africans in participating in that.
We are busy with that. From this year, I know we are going to be actively participating. In the past, we were not actively participating. So moving forward, we will have a dedicated person who's going to assist with the Erasmus Plus projects.
Thank you very much. I think we can now move to the last presenter for the day. His name is Mr. Sigfried Tivana. He is the Assistant Director from Africa Multilateral Corporation. He will be sharing opportunities in Africa. Over to you, Sigfried.
Thanks a lot, Tugela. Let me try to share my presentation. Maybe Joy, you can assist me by removing the one you are sharing. Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes, we can see.
Thanks a lot, Tugela. And perhaps I want to agree with the last comment that was made by Joy, that most of the scholarships that are offered, I think the goal is to actually build some sort of cooperation and collaboration among stakeholders globally, and it is therefore necessary for mobility to take place. And I'm saying this because I see it says here I'm presenting opportunities in Africa, and I want to draw everyone's attention to the Inter-Africa Mobility Program, which we are currently conceptualizing at the DSI. Maybe let me go back to the first slide. Do not pay attention to the logo. It's still our old logo. So this is the presentation that I'll be making this afternoon. The focus will be on the mobility of researchers and students in Africa, to be quite specific. So we are building an Inter-Africa Mobility Program in the continent, working with various stakeholders. The aim, of course, is to encourage mobility in the continent. So to ignite interest among students to take up study opportunities in the African continent, especially at a postgraduate level, that is PhD and master's. And of course, to accelerate career pathways for postgraduate students as well, to become leading international researchers with strengthened academic rigor and competitiveness. That is the international aspect sort of increase an element of rigor and skill for our researchers. Most of South African researchers are not really internationally exposed, and therefore we thought of building this mobility program to sort of speak to that. We also encourage joint qualifications and exchange of students between South African universities and their counterparts in the continent, build awareness around opportunities spearheaded by partners such as DHET, the EUC. I saw quite a few colleagues from the EUC who have presented today. We are working with some of them in building this Inter-Africa Mobility Program. But of course, DHET is one of our major partners, the AU as well. So why are we building this program? to sort of encourage reciprocality within our education system. If you notice, South Africa received a lot of students from the rest of the continent, but we send very few students to the continent. Therefore, there is no element of collaboration among our researchers and our students. Well, there is, but it's not sufficient for us to sort of understand the continent, especially with a lot of policy imperatives that are built around integration, that is regional and continental integration, such as the continental free trade area in the continent. And we thought, for our students to understand what opportunities are available in the continent and how to sort of, collaborate even beyond academia, even as far as business is concerned, they need to understand what is available in the continent, what are business opportunities that are there in the continent, and what are the gaps, what are the needs in the continent, so that they are able to sort of work towards addressing some of those challenges that are existing, especially on the business side of things. So that is why we have built this mobility program. So we have the significant number of universities in South Africa, and most of them are receiving students from the rest of Africa. The last statistics that we have received were that around 50,000, and could be more, students are received from the rest of the continent, and we only send 10,000 or less into the rest of the continent. And that is not sufficient, and therefore we thought it is important for us to build this program. So these are the opportunities that are available. I've already touched on, for instance, the African Continental Free Trade Area, the growing markets for goods and services. One would ask, what does academia has to do with that? Well, it has a lot to do with that, because it is we are encouraging the entrepreneurial sort of academia, or entrepreneurial, the concept of entrepreneurial universities, even in the continent, as much as we encourage it in South Africa. And we think universities are best suited to provide market-relevant solutions for the continent. Therefore, we think we should begin to ask ourselves, what are opportunities that are available for science products, for science and tech startups in the continent? And most of the tech startups are linked to our universities. And therefore, we thought it is important to begin to establish a mobility program for the continent to address the gaps that exist there. And when you look at the second bullet here, you'd notice that we have a lot of opportunities to work with universities that are regarded as world-class in various sectors, in sciences especially. And these are universities that are doing way better than South Africa in those areas. And therefore, we think that we should make South Africans aware that these opportunities, they are available. We also think that there are employment opportunities, because there is a list of scarce skills that has been published by the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology, or Science and Innovation. The Minister, Blaine Zimande, has actually published that list himself. And there's quite a number of areas where South Africa is still lagging behind. And some of these opportunities to actually develop those skills are available within these universities that are actually presented here. And therefore, we think that if we send our students into the continent, they will be able to develop these relevant skills and be able to feed into our economy and contribute to development and growth. So what are some of the existing misconceptions? What are facts and what are myths? Because of course, there are a lot of misconceptions that exist within South Africa about the continent, and perhaps about the entire global community. I mean, you will notice when I go through this presentation that not so many South Africans understand what is happening in the continent. So we ran a survey with about 528 students, and I must emphasize that these are students that responded to this survey. It's not the entire South African community to which this survey was directed. It was directed to university students. And in particular, we actually paid more attention to our HDIs. And we wanted to understand if they've ever traveled in the continent. And 77% of them said, no, they've never traveled in the continent. 70% of them says, actually, they would like to study in the continent, but they are not aware of the opportunities that are available in the continent. So asked if they are aware of the study opportunities that are available in the continent, and they are not aware. About 94% of them says they don't know anything about this. And I think, Joy, it does speak to, because we work closely with Kia, I think that's her name, and we used to work with Ruth Roberts, who has now left DHET, in actually facilitating this survey. And we do acknowledge that we're not getting significant responses to the international scholarship opportunities. I'm not talking about Africa alone, I'm talking globally. In the list of the scholarships that you've presented, that we are not getting a good response, except Erasmus Mundus, the South African window has actually done very well, and congratulations on that. But most of the scholarship opportunities, there's no good take up or uptake rather. And therefore it is because students are saying they're not aware. And so we ask ourselves, most of the time they're not aware. We're actually putting up these opportunities in our websites, in our social media platforms, and so on. But these platforms, these internet platforms that we have, students are actually not they don't actually go through these platforms most of the time. Most of the scholarship opportunities that have great uptake are those that we partner directly with universities, and universities do more than just publish them in their platforms, that is their internet websites and their social media platforms, but they usually have info sessions with students. They share them through their financial aid offices and that sort of stuff. And that's where we get a good uptake. But sometimes we also need to look beyond universities so that we can also address the need within the unemployed graduate community as well. Especially there is where we actually get a lot of uptake of our opportunities. So of course, the second question was, have you ever applied for these opportunities? It goes without saying that if they are not aware, then therefore they wouldn't apply. And therefore, very few would have said they've actually succeeded because very few would apply. So we then ask them what sort of incentives would they want us to put in place for them to be able to respond to these opportunities. What are some of the gaps that they think exist? And some of them said accommodation, they said travel. You'd see the pie here sort of break down the responses, and the color coding is clear. Some of them says, and I'm looking at the bigger chunk of the pie here, it says foreign languages and training. And these are the areas where our students are saying they need us to sort of intervene, and which necessitated therefore a conversation between the DHET, DSI, the NRF, to sort of see what is possible. And that is for the Inter-Africa Mobility Program, which is receiving really terrible numbers in terms of uptake. So we therefore decided that we will look into a possibility of building an incentive scheme to address some of these areas that are mentioned by our students. And you'd notice here they said culture exposure programs would be important. Short-term exchange programs would facilitate them taking up longer programs, that is their master's and PhD programs. They said stipends and supplements would supplement the offering of the existing scholarships. The scholarships are good, and I agree with Joy that most scholarships covers your tuition, travel, accommodation, and so on and so forth. But we would like to look into the area of culture exposure, short-term exchange programs to facilitate the actual uptake. Those that are able to actually make a decision to take up the scholarship, it's very good, but we actually want to get more students particularly into the continent. So why are we also looking into this? Very important to understand this. we're also trying to address youth unemployment in South Africa. Significant number of our students, our graduates rather, are actually unemployed, and there's a growing number of graduate unemployment in South Africa. So we want to sort of place those students who are not able to get jobs in universities that will be able to give them better skills so that when they come into the system, they are able to actually get jobs and perhaps not even come back to some extent. They are able to be the strategic link between South Africa and the continent, and they are able to work into the rest of the continent and beyond. And that is actually our goal at the end of the day. There is a huge skills mismatch in South Africa. There are a lot of programs that are offered that are not in demand in the education, rather in the job markets, and therefore it creates a significant skills mismatch. You'd have students who have studied certain programs, and you have the job market saying, actually, we need students within these programs, and those programs do not have a lot of graduates. And you'd see the visuals here says there are protests and demonstrations that says hire graduates. But how do you hire these graduates if they do not have relevant skills? And sometimes it's not that they are actually doing irrelevant programs. It's just that they need to go beyond their bachelor's degrees into their master's and PhDs, and therefore they gain more skills for the job market and for research, to be quite specific. So what do we do next? The reason I'm actually making this presentation, and I'm making this presentation here, is that we are actually working on building this mobility program, bringing together different stakeholders from Europe, from Africa. We're working with embassies in South Africa to sort of see how we can best advertise some of the programs that they have, profile them in our universities, and profile them even in our communities. Actually, we're working, for instance, with the government of Limpopo to actually now go into the communities and get these graduates, unemployed graduates in various ways, and bring them into these programs. So we would like to get many stakeholders who want to work with us. We already had established links with the European Commission under the Inter-Africa Academic Mobility Program that actually they were running. We are not sure how it is doing now because we have not been in contact for a while, but we have actually established a conversation around this with them. We have been working with DHET, who is actually one of our greatest partners. And I'll just run through a presentation of the opportunities that they actually shared with us after this presentation. We have the National Research Foundation, we have higher education, the Department of Higher Education, which is of course our sister department within the same ministry, and we are working very closely with them. And maybe before we move to questions, Tugela, please do allow me maybe to share a bit of the opportunities that exist within that scholarship opportunities.
Quickly, 1 minute.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, let me try to do that.
I think while we are still trying to connect, Sigfried, prompted by the questions that are shared on the chat, I think you may need to consider maybe having a separate session to just look at the results of the survey that you receive, so that it can then assist in informing the support that you will provide in the implementation of the intra-mobility scheme. One of the questions I see there's more interest on who responded to the survey. Is it students? Is it high school students? And did it also take into consideration the unemployed youth and the challenges of accessing this information regarding the opportunities?
That's oh, sorry. Yes, you can go on.
Yes, no, that I just wanted to flag those questions while you're still loading the presentation.
All right. No, thanks, Tugela. Most of our respondents were university students. We are paying a lot of attention now to unemployed graduates. There's a reason for that, because we noticed that most of the university students who respond to surveys such as this, they are still doing their bachelor's degrees, and that most of them, they are not necessarily interested in studying outside the country. Whereas unemployed graduates, they understand the job markets, they understand the challenges within the job markets, and they are quite interested in actually taking up these opportunities to study in the continent. One of the few unemployed graduates responded, I think DUT, the Durban University of Technology, through their alumni office, they were able to, because they have sort of a database of not necessarily unemployed graduates, but graduates in general. And they were able to share this a survey with that database of their graduates. And there was a significant response from that. So we did get responses, albeit from only DUT graduates, in terms of what their sort of views around the questions we actually posed. So yes, indeed, I do accept the concern that we should look into graduates or unemployed graduates, to be quite specific. So just a quick one, I won't go deep into this, and I don't know if Joy have touched in this, because I do think they work with DAD as well. But this is, DAD has actually a lot of scholarships in country and regional, and I would, of course, want to focus more on their regional or in-regional scholarships that they're offering, and these are the benefits. I will share this presentation because of time together. So these are the benefits that are there. They do offer monthly living stipends, tuition fees, printing costs, travel allowance, health insurance, total investment, which is the amount that has been stipulated, and that is for masters, and the total investment for PhD is the amount that has been stipulated, the two amounts at the bottom of the page. And these are some of their stats in terms of the institutions that they work with. So they work with the East African, 16 East African institutions, and these are highly ranked universities in East Africa. In SADC as well, they have 6 institutions, including the NRF. And by institutions, it's not necessarily universities, but mostly universities. West Africans, 7 partners they have there. And in general, they award new scholarships, up to 350 new scholarships yearly. And this is very important to be noted. These new scholarships that are actually added to the existing scholarships, South Africa has a certain amount of scholarships that is added to that. And there's no uptake for the scholarships. It's very important to note this. So probably we're sitting at this moment at 100 and something scholarships that are not taken up. And it's very important to sort of encourage our students, including unemployed graduates, to take up these scholarships. And that is at a master's and PhD level. So they work with leading African universities. And these are universities that are international competitive. They build existing, there is existing collaboration between Africa and Germany in these universities, and an emphasis as well that, of course, these world-class universities, they offer qualifications that are able to compete job markets. I'll skip this, but these are the centers of excellence in Africa, and they have global centers of excellence in climate change and health. These are some of the areas they look at as well in terms of objectives. Yeah, I think I'll just have to, because of time, end here. But we are going to share this, and we can respond to questions as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sigfried. We'll definitely load the presentation on the ESASTAP website. And I'm just interested to know from you if the results of the survey are open to the public so that we could also share
Absolutely.
them. Yeah, we could also share them to the public.
We have a summary of, yes, we will share that. Unfortunately, we have not loaded them up in our website or anywhere else, but definitely can be shared with you and you can share with the participants.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
Thank
I
you
think
very
there's
much.
a delay there, but yeah, thanks.
Yes, I think there's some technical issues from your side, but I think we've come to the end of our program, and I'd really like to thank everyone who stayed with us from the morning until 12 o'clock. I know it's difficult to attend sessions on a virtual platform for such long hours, but thank you very much for staying for the duration of the program. And a warm welcome on behalf of thank you on behalf of the department to all the speakers, our international partners, as well as our sister department and entities who've also contributed to the program. We are available for any questions or information. Should you need clarity in any of the calls, Karabo, Mphogo, and myself, we are available to answer to those questions. In that regard, I would like to officially close the session and wish you a good weekend. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sister Tugela. Thank you.
Bye, please.